commodity trading is dead. Across sectors, from base metals to energy to grains, you can't find a trade to put on or a reason to put it on.
Dude, if you look at a chart of soybeans over the last year, it's in a 1-point range like it hasn't moved.
But, gold, I'm tired of talking about it. Right now, it's bouncing off the 100-day moving average, 33.15, trading up to 33.45.
The one thing I'll say about gold, they're pretty resilient.
What's interesting to me is Bitcoin. Bitcoin has a crazy little false breakout at the top.
You know what else we forgot? Which was pretty much the ding-dong high. The IPO of...
What is happening, good people? We are here for Macro Dirt Podcast number 60. Me and Jared Dillian. What's up, my man? How you doing today?
What's up, Home Slice?
Oh, man. What is not up? You know whose birthday it is today?
Pee Wee Herman?
Nope. One of our all-time favorites. Greg Nettles turns 81 today, just to make you feel old.
I saw a picture of him recently. I was like, man, that guy is looking old.
Well, yeah. Father Time is just keeps rolling on. He was a San Diego kid who went to San Diego State on a basketball scholarship, right? Also played baseball there. 9th captain in Yankee history, named captain in 82, 2.5 years after Thurman Munson passed as captain, as we know. Nettles, he was my hero as a little leaguer that played third base. He was my absolute hero because he had the best glove in the world when I was 9, 10, and 11 years old, peak little league, right? 6-time All-Star, 2 gold gloves, 1 in 77, 1 in 78. His 77 season was a Picasso season. He wins the gold glove. He has a career high 37 home runs, 107 RBIs. Yankees win the World Series. 78, though, he had game 3, he had an unbelievable game. He had like 4 down the line, run-saving stops at third base. Yankees won that game 5-1. They won another World Series championship. And this is one I didn't know. He set an American League record at one point for career homers by a third baseman.
What?
Yeah.
I mean, he was good for like 30 or 35 a year, but I never would have guessed he would have set a record for homers by a third baseman.
Me neither. And I might have to do some research into that and see who took him over. But he was a spectacular player and super fun to watch.
But not in the Hall, right?
No, not in the Hall of Fame. No, he's a career like 245 hitter. He was a fairly clutch hitter. His claim to fame is really his glove. And I guess that might not, like you say, super dominant at your position for 10 years. I don't know that we can say that about him, right? He's probably a little bit shy there.
Yeah.
So that's still a good gauge. Let's go into the go.
It's funny you mentioned basketball. Like, Danny Ainge played basketball and baseball.
Pretty sick, right?
Yeah. Played for the Blue Jays.
2 really tough sports, I would imagine, to be good at both.
Yeah.
Just 2 really, one's one of the fastest moving sports on 2 feet. Baseball is kind of, you get a very, very wide range of the type of athlete you get in baseball. Sometimes you'll have a total non-athlete that can play baseball just because he's got unbelievable hand-eye coordination, right? So you have all different, it takes all kinds to play baseball, I think. So let's dive right into the markets, JD. We finally got a little bit of volatility here. We got the VIX creeping up to 17. We got the markets off the highs. I kind of timed it fairly well. My note on Monday was called a little bearish and long because, I've got risk on and I can, I'm just kind of counting the ways that the market can back off now. It's getting popular. Sentiment's getting greedy. Tell me your spin on the stock market right now at S&P 6370.
Well, I'll tell you what. It's not so much a bear market as it is a rotation. It's a rotation out of large growth into small cap and into value. Like if you have any small cap or value in your portfolio the last couple of days, it's not down. Like it's actually up. Yeah. Yesterday, the Russell was up while the S&P was down. Like it's all it is a big factor rotation. I got to say, I got it right too. I went after 2 bubbly stocks right on the highs, bought puts, in Carvana and DoorDash, and they are coming apart like a soup sandwich.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well done, man. Yeah, you kind of get those feel, for me, it was kind of an emotional sell the fact is what we were heading for, right? We had all this good stuff happening. We had the Ukraine peace talks. We've got the statement that there's going to be no American boots on the ground in the Ukraine. Trump and Zelensky are meeting with European leaders. We're cleaning up crime in D.C. It's like the market is just waiting for something to let it down. And to me, it's just like you said, it's a rotation because the market leaders, those sectors that are leading year to date, are on their ass right now. So the uranium sector, a couple of consecutive 2 sigma pullbacks. We've got we had a 3 sigma pullback working in Cameco, right? The leader of the pack broke the 50-day moving average and it's pulling back in large magnitude. Nothing new under the sun. Right. So we're going to find a spot in a lot of these sectors that have been rallying sharply. They're going to hold in at some point, and I would imagine that the bull market resumes because, like you said, we're seeing strength in all of those defensive sectors. Healthcare rallied, consumer staples are rallying, utilities are rallying. So far from an all asset class sell-off, right?
Yeah.
Talk to me about data and rates and things. Where are we, JD? I can make the case that rates are mean reverting with, or kind of at the bottom of the range now with 10s at 4.25. Data's been kind of mixed. What are you thinking about?
Well, we got Jackson Hole coming up on Friday. We got Powell's speech.
I forgot about that. Good point.
Yeah. So I actually put out a little feeler out on Twitter the other day. I was like, is there any chance that Powell is going to be dovish on Jackson Hole? Like any at all? Like Powell is going to give the middle finger to Trump. He's going to be hawkish. I think best case scenario, he signals that we're going to cut in September, but then he says, nope, not for the rest of the year. And we're pricing in multiple rate hikes towards the end of the year. So look, there was a Twitter account, I think it was called Heisenberg, that put out a chart of the S&P going back through Powell's 2 terms, right? So Powell has given 7 Jackson Hole speeches. And if you line them up on a chart, the stock market shits the bed after every Powell speech, especially in 2022. 2022 was when we had all the inflation and Powell was like ripping rates. Like his Jackson Hole speech just laid waste to the market. So I don't know what people are thinking in terms of like maybe what's happening is people are starting to price that in going into Friday, which explains some of the sell off. But yeah,
that has my attention. Anything that happens consecutively on events like that is something that we should be watching for sure. I would imagine that if Powell goes on that path, he might find himself out of a job for Christmas. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sure at this point, Trump is racking up so many wins and has got his chest out, on a number of different fronts. I doubt that he's going to take a spanking from Jerome Powell from Jackson Hole like that. So we'll see how the reaction goes. How about commodity trading, man? Outside of and you can include gold right now because it's going nowhere. I was looking at the Beacon before. Commodity trading is dead. Across sectors, from base metals to energy to grains, you can't find a trade to put on or a reason to put it on.
Dude, if you look at a chart of soybeans over the last year, it's in a 1 point range over the last year. Like it hasn't moved. And
they're the most volatile grain in the bunch usually, right? Yeah. Wow. Look at that, man. That is, $10 a bushel and they ain't moving. That's unreal. That's kind of a strange phenomenon. I guess you kind of just have to notice it and tuck it in the back of your brain in case anything crazy happens where they all start waking up. But, gold, we are in that same as it ever was thing where I'm tired of talking about it. Right now, it's bouncing off the 100-day moving average at 33.15, trading up to 33.45. Silver's testing the 50-day on the downside at 37.5. Metals are kind of, static while this dollar trade is not deciding which way to go. right? Nothing has changed from last week, where the Bears still have the breakdown below the bottom of the range in their pocket. The Bulls still have 3 higher lows in their pocket, and none of them have been violated yet. So the dollar index and gold are going nowhere. What are your thoughts on that, JD? Anything?
The one thing I'll say about gold and silver is that I think I said this before. They're pretty resilient. You have these breakdowns. I mean, look, like Tuesday was a pretty ugly day for precious metals. Wednesday, they're up, right? Like you're not getting like successive breakdowns or successive rallies. Like I mean, I've said it before, like just don't look at it until it gets above 3,500. Like just leave it alone.
As of now, that remains the smart knuckle dragging strategy.
Yeah.
It really does. You can dumb it down as far as it goes. And if we dumb it down to 3,500 bid, wake me up, it sounds like that's what we should be waiting for. What's interesting to me is Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin has a crazy little false breakout at the top. We peaked up above the old high, traded 125K, and then straight down through the 50-day moving average at 115. And now we've got the 100-day just below at 111K. But if it breaks the range bottom around here at 115, it feels like it could slide, just technically speaking, which sounds fine to me. And I know all the banana guys and all the laser-eyed guys will get upset at that, but that's how it feels. What do you think about Bitcoin? You got anything on that?
Dude, I was on Twitter last week or the week before, and I was seeing some pretty hot sentiment on Bitcoin from the banana guys and the laser eyes guys. I'm like, guys, like you seem a little bit too happy for me. Like this is a problem. You know?
Yeah. And what's amazing is that the volatility has really come out of Bitcoin. Like I can, you kind of back your chair up and cover one eye, and it's a really nice uptrend, a 45-degree angle. And I guess there's some volatile periods in there, but it has been like you said a couple of weeks ago, that it's been behaving a little bit more like gold. It's looking a little bit more like a precious metal at the moment. But the Ethereum inflows are still massive. And the Bitcoin inflows are still positive, even with massive Ethereum flows going on. So I'm kind of chalking that up as a little bit of a positive in Bitcoin.
Did you see that Tom Lee was starting this Ethereum treasury? He was raising $20 billion to buy Ethereum. Did you see that?
I have a noise cancellation policy on Tom Lee, so no.
Well,
Zero at zero. As soon as I hear his name, move on to the next. Go ahead. What's he doing?
Well, I mean, I'm like, that doesn't sound like a bottom to me.
Fair point. Yeah. No, that's frothy stuff. Of course. So, the stock market here, I want to talk about, I had my finger on the trigger of a couple of long positions that I've had on. We've got double-digit percentage gains on them. Nothing has caused me to de-risk, though, right? We haven't seen a huge downside tick extreme. We have seen 3 negative days in a row, but they've only taken the S&P 1% back from the all-time high. We're seeing large pullbacks in the leading sectors, a little rotation under the hood, but still, there's been nothing to shake anybody into action yet. Do you think we finally get a serious follow-through to the downside now, JD, or is this just going to be another... Here comes the dip. There's buyers lined up. The dip never happens, and we're at all-time highs in a week and a half. What do you think?
Man, I have seen some ugly charts in the last couple days. Brent Donnelly put out a couple of charts of Palantir and Microsoft.
Yeah.
And they were hourly charts, and he's like, look, these stocks gapped higher on earnings and have cratered and filled the gap since earnings, Palantir and Microsoft.
Yeah. Yeah, you got to pay attention to that kind of price action. That's the similar price action that we saw in Bitcoin, where you get a little bit of a short-term, call it a parabola, where everybody, it's kind of thing trades bid only, and then they fall right back to earth and sometimes keep going. And as you said, right now we've got Microsoft, which was trading 550 just a couple of weeks ago, is now pressing 505, testing the 50-day moving average support zone. Now, as we know, that breakout from 450 to 550 was so steep in Microsoft that The downside now, you break the 50-day here at 505, you got room down to 460. So that would certainly change the complexion of the markets if Microsoft took a $40 deuce here. That would be interesting, and it sure does look vulnerable as hell. So we'll see how that pans out. So it does kind of lead you to believe that maybe we'll get a little bit of a deeper pullback. And I'm going to say still, though, nothing has changed from I still think that there are buyers waiting on very shallow S&P dips. Like, I would be shocked. The 50-day moving average wouldn't surprise me. If we got down to the 100 or 200-day moving average down at 6K at this point, that would surprise me, because everything about this sell-off is as orderly as a marching band.
I mean, I've kind of said before, like, I've been bearish the last couple of podcasts that we've done.
Yeah.
But I'm not like crash bearish. I'm like, look, we need to correct to 6,000 in the S&P, which is in like 8 or 9% correction. Like, that needs to happen at a minimum. So
I would love to see it, and I don't think that a pullback that steep is coming. Some of the things, I guess, that lead me to believe that maybe there's a chance is that we're at a new record in levered ETF inflows now.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
It's like over $120 billion, which is pretty frothy. The levered ETF stuff is, to me, animal spirits ignited, and their money is where their mouth is. So if they don't get rewarded at some point in the very near future, they're going to have to liquidate, and maybe that'll tilt us into something where we get a real tradable pullback, which would be nice. I'd love to see some tick extremes at minus 1,500, 4 or 5 consecutive down days, a serious move to a new moving average support. Then we can see what else
we forgot.
What did we forget?
The IPO of Bullish, which was pretty much the ding-dong high.
What was that? I missed that entirely.
BLSH, Bullish.
Oh, what is that?
Bullish is a crypto exchange, which, by the way, nobody I know has ever heard of this thing before. It goes public at 37. It trades up to 93. Yeah. It's called Bullish. There's actually a company called Bullish that went public on the highs.
I mean, we have to just short that out of principle, man. like just put I'm going to put it on. I'm going to wait till the podcast is over, but I'm going to put it on because just out of principle, public at 37, trades 92, last sale 58 and falling. Like, God knows where this thing could go. All right, I've got that one earmarked. That's great. That's great. This is all sentiment stuff that matters, and you'll see, when you trade over the years, you'll look back and you'll be like, oh my God. Sometimes it's just that little tiny feather that breaks the bow. I don't know. I think we got it covered, man. We're still in a waiting game in the stock market. The VIX is only traded as high as 17, 18, so it's not a 5-alarm fire. Maybe we get one. Maybe we don't. But we'll trip over our beards waiting. I think we're going to go right off markets, JD. You?
Yep.
Yeah. So what I want to talk about is the whole hysterical FOMO that I've been having over the Oasis 2025 reunion tour. Do you got anything there? Do you know anything about Oasis, JD?
Noel Gallagher, Liam Gallagher. I know some of the songs. I don't know a lot about them.
Yeah. So let's do the history, because I love Oasis because they are a typical English rock band, right? They've got a great lead singer. Liam Gallagher is like a cross between Keith Moon and Keith Richards. He's got all the swag in the world. Tremendous addition. He was the lead singer of the original band before Noel Gallagher played guitar for them, right? Noel Gallagher was the drum tech. And then, as it turns out of the blue, can write music like Paul freaking McCartney, right? So Noel starts writing music, playing guitar, works his way into the band, and the band really blows up, right? So they go from being a UK local band that's surviving mostly on their own music to now they're going global. They're so big. The best story is the story about their US launch in 94, because this is the beginning of the brawl between the two brothers, right? So they come over for their US launch tour, right? They're going to play at the Whiskey in West Hollywood, September 94. The band got a bag of drugs for the trip, and they were all taking cuts at it the whole way as they're preparing to have their debut in the United States. Turns out that the drug that they are all hacking away at was not cocaine, but meth, Right now, I don't even know what that does to you, but apparently these guys were wired out the wazoo for days going into their first gig, sleepless nights, Liam's jaws wagging back and forth. They go out to do their first gig at the Whiskey, and the roadie accidentally gives Liam the wrong set list. So now the band is playing one set of music and Liam is singing the songs that he thinks that they're playing, and he can't tell because he's so wasted and still hitting the meth behind the drummer during the show. So now Noel's calling him names because he's missing the lyrics of the songs that he doesn't think he's playing. Liam gets pissed off, tosses a tambourine at him, and that's literally the beginning of the rift between the two brothers, right? So it gets better. It gets better. Noel's still writing great music. He wants to become more of the singer and songwriter of the band. Liam is like, I'm the lead singer of the band. What am I going to do? Make the fucking tea if you're going to write the songs and sing them? So they get together after breaking up in 2009. They go on this incredible 2025 Oasis reunion tour. And every clip that I see of it, I'm pissed off that I'm not there.
FOMO.
The FOMO is huge. They're playing to like 85,000 person audiences.
I know somebody who is going to 3 of their concerts on this tour.
Oh man, really? Yeah. Who's that? Where are they going? Which stops do you know?
I forget.
Oh man, because they've already been through Wales, Cardiff, they've been through Dublin, they've been through what other part of the UK? Edinburgh, Scotland. I mean, it just looks unbelievable. The thing that drives me nuts though is that at the Oasis concerts, all of the fans happen to sing every lyric of every song. You know, so it's kind of like a big sing along, but it looks like an unbelievable production, and I would literally give my right arm to be at one of the shows. What else off market's blowing your hair back, JD? Anything good this summer?
Hey man, I got some. First of all, a lot of people might not know. I mean, you know, I'm a DJ. I talk about that all the time.
Yeah.
But I have a SoundCloud page.
Yeah.
And I post mixes and live performances up there and stuff like that. So I am DJ Stochastic on SoundCloud. So if you just go to SoundCloud and search DJ Stochastic, follow me. I have a new mix up there called Languorous, which is really, really good. So follow me on SoundCloud, listen to Languorous, leave some comments. Would love it if you would do that.
I think you should too. I listen to your DJ stuff all the time, and you're one of the only DJs that I listen to, but you cover a lot of ground for me. So I don't really need to go into any other, electronic dance music investigation. I just listen to the stuff that you give me. And I just started listening to the new one, and I do like it's got a good edge to it.
Cool.
Yeah. Really fun to have a hobby like that. You've got the DJ stuff. I play the guitar. I've been dusting off every guitar that I have lately and kind of learned and forcing myself to learn new songs. And that's one of the things that I think, helps you, helps you get your mind off markets and keep your brain regenerating, when you're kind of forcing yourself to be creative and do new things. So I think I urge everybody to make sure that you have a sort of off the run hobby or an analog thing that you can do. I think it's really good for personal growth. But that's it, JD. We're going to listen to the tunes. We're going to listen to your DJ Stochastic mix. I'm a big fan. I want to say thank you to all the dual subscribers. You guys continue to ring the register, take us up on our product. And just the fact that it's been staying alive with a lot of life really is encouraging. I think Jared and I have both been given pretty spot on guidance in the markets of late. And we're a great tag team combo of analysts to read about since we both have totally different approach to the market. And I'll tell you one thing, when the stars align and he and I both have the same idea, you can usually put something on and have a good time with it. So that's the way it's been going lately, friends. That brings us to the end of Macro Dirt podcast number 60. And we've got a special guest next week. That's it for today. Have a good weekend, everybody.
See you later.
Later.